This is a great Torah portion this week. Yitro. Yitro, we meet, we've met him before, but we learn a little bit more about Moses' father-in-law. We get the 10 Commandments. And with the 10 Commandments, we learn how to be a moral person. We learn that moral people don't murder, steal, or desire things from other people in a bad, coveting kind of way. We learn about a religious person in the 10 Commandments, somebody who observes the Sabbath, somebody who praises God and believes in only one God according to the Torah. We learn how to be a good spouse. Don't have an affair. Simple. No adultery. We learn how to be good children. Honor your parents. I was looking at the 10 Commandments tonight, and I was thinking, there really is nothing here about being a good parent. And with the adultery thing aside, and it is a big thing, there's really not much about being a good spouse. Some of you are familiar with George Bernard Shaw. He wrote that a true artist, any true artists in here? See if you agree with this. A true artist will let his wife starve, his children go barefoot, his mother drudge for his living at 70, sooner than work at anything but his art. Now, Judaism doesn't want a father, a mother, a husband, a wife, a spouse, a parent to be like Shaw's artist. Rabbi Chaim Vital, some of you might be familiar, he wrote the following. When a person faces his judgment in Olam Haba, or the world to come, he is not evaluated according to how much he helped other people. Okay? We think it's so important to help other people, and it is, but there is a teaching in Judaism that that's not what you're judged upon at the end of days. He continues, he said, he may be a tremendous activist, he may constantly be running from one affair to another, the good kind, not the bad kind. He may be constantly involved in one project or another, but his worth is measured according to how he behaved with his wife and his children. The way a person acts with his family reflects who he really is. So this afternoon, as I was reading through the 10 Commandments for the umpteenth time, decided I want an 11th commandment. I want there to be a commandment that orders us to be responsible in the way that we treat our husbands, our wives, our partners, towards the way we treat our children. And I realized that there is that commandment in this Torah portion. It's just not written in the commandment parts. It's written in the story. And let me explain. You see, there once was this man that I'd say the vast majority of people in this room, no matter what your background, you are familiar with this man. Because he was the epitome of selflessness. The needs of other people were what were important to him, and acts of kindness, certain things that he did, are the story of our Jewish legends. But as inspiring as this man was, and in many ways continues to be, there was one tragic aspect of his personality and his life. He might have loved his wife and his children dearly, but his selflessness didn't really extend to the three of them. He was always caring for others, but he wasn't able to provide the attention that his wife not only expected, but deserved. He forgot at times about the needs of his children, and this would eventually cost him, really, his marriage and his family. Anybody know who this man is? Moses. The great tzaddik, the great righteous prophet of our tradition, was a pretty bad husband and a pretty bad father. And his story, especially this week, is our 11th commandment. His wife's name, some of us know, is Zipporah. Interestingly enough, when Zipporah marries Moses, this is really the first intermarriage in Judaism. Zipporah was not an Israelite. Their two children, anybody know?
Boys.
Two boys, Gershom and Eliezer. Okay, two boys. Eliezer is the youngest. And Eliezer was born right around the time that Moses is walking around in the desert. Remember, he's out of Egypt. He's living with Yitro and his family and his wife, with Zipporah. And all of a sudden this bush starts burning, but it's not consumed. And he learns that he is needed by God to become an important leader for the Jewish people, to get them out of Egypt. And at this time, as the bush is burning and Moses is talking to God and learning his role in life, we know that Zipporah has just given birth to the youngest little boy, Eliezer. Okay? He runs home. Zipporah. Some of this, by the way, is in the Midrash. It's not, if you go back and look, the rabbis are crazy. Where do you get it? It's in the Midrash, which is the later texts that were written by the rabbis. Zipporah, pack the bags. We're going. I have a job. I'm going to be the new head of the Jewish people. Let's go. Now, Zipporah was a traditional wife. She didn't put up any type of fuss, but she did just have this little baby boy. So probably took a couple days to pack up, and they go. Now, anybody see what the problem is here? Anybody ever had a little boy? Okay, what happens soon after a little boy is born? They're supposed to have a bris. Now, we can argue whether or not that was going on back then, but I'm looking at it the way the rabbis did around the year 100, 200. The rabbi said there's a problem because Moses should have had a bris for his youngest, for Eliezer. But for whatever reason, he just thought it was more important to get to Egypt, to do his job. So what happens, according to the Torah, along the way? Moses is struck. He's attacked by perhaps an illness, some say a snake, and he almost dies on the way to Egypt with his two children and his wife. That's in the Torah. Some say it was actually Eliezer who almost dies as a result, perhaps, of a snake bite. And Zipporah, the woman and so the smart one, says, oh, wait a second. I know what's happening here. Moses didn't fulfill his obligation as a father. He's put the family in jeopardy. And she takes a stone and in a rather graphic scene, circumcises him